Hello everyone, thank you for being with me today. First and foremost, I would like to wish everyone a Happy New Year and to say that we plan for it to be a sad new year for some shooting suspects, and that's what I want to talk about. January 2nd, a fresh start to the new year, and what happened is we had a shooting at 2:52 in the morning. Look at the marks where we had the casings. That's right, 59 casings, at least 59 shots toward this house on a drive-by shooting using two different firearms. We know that 30 of the 59 casings hit the house, most of which was right in the area of the bedroom. 12 entered the home. There were 5 victims in the house at the time, including a 19-year-old girl. And that's the headboard from where she was laying in the bed when the shooting occurred. We believe the shooting was targeted toward her boyfriend. There is possibly rival gangs involved in this, and certainly we think so in this one. We know that there's been a running gun battle between two gangs. In fact, last year, almost a year ago, January the 30th of 2022, at a bowling alley just outside the city limits of Winter Haven, we had a running gun battle, and there were people shot and people arrested. And certainly they're looking forward to a very long time in prison. But the rival gang didn't like that. So we certainly believe that as a result of that event, this was a retaliation. They laid low for almost a year. We put a gang task force in place, made several arrests. However, they went silent after that shooting of January 22nd. We arrested several of the gang members at that particular time. We think the 19-year-old girl is the girlfriend of the person that they were trying to retaliate against. She is still in the hospital. She is in good condition and certainly is going to make a full recovery, for which we're grateful. However, she was shot in the shoulder. And it's just a blessing she wasn't murdered when you see where all the gunshots were in the bed. Well, that's in the Lake Wells area. That's a rare occurrence in the unincorporated Lake Wells area. So what happened? 17 miles away, still in the greater Lake Wells area, and 17 minutes and 8 miles away, we have another shooting January 2nd at 3:09 in the morning. There's 37 casings. 27 struck the house. Most struck the bedroom. And if having a 19-year-old young lady shot is not enough, in this house there was a 14-year-old shot in the thigh and the buttocks, and a 12-year-old shot in the arm. Did you hear me? Did you hear what I said? Did you hear how we started the new year with a shooting of 2 children lying in bed? Well, they were blessed in that they were treated and released. But here's the headboard where they were sleeping. And you notice that the bullet wounds are head high in the headboard. Well, for whatever reason, these kids were sleeping sideways in the bed. It's a God thing. So that's why they were shot in the arm and the buttocks as opposed to being shot in the head. We need help on this case as well as the other case, but here's the key to this one. There were 8 victims in this home. Not only were there 8 victims in the home, they just moved to this house in the Lake Pierce Ranchettes within the the last couple of weeks. They moved from Auburndale. Prior to Auburndale, they were in Arkansas. Prior to them moving into this house, it had been vacant for months, as much as 7 or 8 months. There were relatives there for Christmas and New Year's. And these folks have nothing at all to do with the local scene or the local gangster operation. These folks were just neighbors. Neighbors. Here's what we do know. In the area, in the immediate vicinity of this house is another house. And in that particular area in the ranchettes, it is a guy who's staying there with some relatives. Now, what's interesting about him is he was involved in an event last summer, last August, in the city of Lake Wales, where a bunch of guys got to fussing and fighting over girls and video games, and ultimately there was a shooting, and ultimately the victim who was living in the area of this shooting shot and killed one of the suspects in Lake Wales. So we believe it's some of the people from the Lake Wales Police Department investigating shooting that wanted to retaliate against the person who was justifiable in their use of a firearm in that Lake Wales case. But what do these POSs do? They shoot up the wrong house. Did you hear what I said? They shot up the wrong house. Well, both houses are wrong to shoot up, but they didn't even hit the target's house. They hit these poor innocent people who just moved in from Auburndale. Before that were from Arkansas. They don't know beans from buttermilk about what's happening in the community, and they're shot full of holes. Listen, folks, someone in the community knows all about this. We're making a Crime Stoppers plea. I want you to think about this. This is your 12 and 14-year-old child in bed asleep in their new home that they've obtained, minding their own business in the holidays, and some thugs come by trying to shoot up somebody else and shoot up these innocent people's homes. That's every indication we have at this early stage of the investigation. You can make a difference. It's not enough that we're asking you just to be good citizens, to act like responsible parents and say, hey, I'm going to call Crime Stoppers. I get to stay totally confidential, and we got to hold the people accountable that try to shoot up this house. But for the grace of God, would have killed these 2 little girls asleep in bed. But we'll even pay you for the information. We need some help. You can tell us who did this. We have been working and following leads and running down information, and we have some information. Please don't think that we don't have any, but we don't have all we need, or we would have someone in jail now. We plan for the suspects in this shooting and in our other shooting to have instead of a happy new year, a sad new year locked up in jail. And you can help. Are the 2 of them related? We don't know yet. It is physically possible that they could drive the time and distance in the allotted time. However, it was very foggy that night. One set of circumstances doesn't appear to have anything to do with the other set of circumstances. We're processing evidence. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement lab, which is tremendous and works really, really well with all of us. We're proud to have them as partners who are helping us sort through some evidence, but we don't want to wait for the lab stuff to get back. We need to jump on that. So before I talk about the last case, are there any questions about this case?
Was the 19-year-old girl's boyfriend home?
No, he wasn't. When they shot into the house, the boyfriend who we think that they were trying to target in that particular case wasn't even home. So here in the same night, within 17 minutes, we get a 12-year-old girl, a 14-year-old girl, and a 19-year-old girl shot in two separate incidents. And they don't have obvious traits of relationships at this early stage of the investigation. We're not willing to rule that out. But I've got detectives that are literally working around the clock, and we're going to find out who did this. You might as well go ahead and make the $3,000, because we're going to find out one way or the other who did it and hold them responsible. But it should shake what I call the majority of the people to the core to think that you put your two children to bed at 12 and 14, and some idiots who are wanting to retaliate for another event come by and shoot up any house, but shoot up the wrong house, where these folks are just trying to live life and enjoy the holidays.
Can you explain one more time the person that they were looking for?
The person in this particular case, there was a shooting last summer that the Lake Wells Police Department worked. And as I'm told in a brief statement, it all started out over girls, girlfriends, video games, and this person who we think at this early stage of the investigation, we're guessing at this early stage of the investigation, was being retaliated against. He justifiably used force and ultimately killed someone in self-defense in Lake Wells. Well, he, in the meantime, is not in the Lake Wells area, but he's living with a relative in the area of this house that got shot up. So what we surmise is, because nothing else is making any sense at this early stage of the investigation, is they got the wrong house. It's the middle of the night, it's foggy, who knows? But it makes me angry. And we're going to do everything we can to catch them, because that will not stand in this community. It's not happening.